Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Math with Sohn. Today, we got an interesting investment problem where we got some options. So here, you got a $4,000 to invest, and you got option one, which is a 6% rate. It's kind of safe. You get 2 years, but 6% is not bad. Compounded interest, so it's going to get bigger. And then option two, we got a riskier type of thing. You get 5% on the first year, which is a little worse than option one, but the second year, you got some potential. You got 10% chance of you losing 15%. That would really stink during the second year only. But you got a 40% chance of gaining 6%, which would be pretty good. And then you got a 20% chance of actually gaining 18%. That's huge. And a 30% chance of you just earning no money the second year. And we want to figure out what would be the best option to do in the long run if you did this a million times. So let's do this. Let's do option one first. Option one, you got $4,000. And you could use a compounded interest formula, but we're only doing 2 years. So let's do times 1.06. All right, so what's 4,000 times 1.06? 4,000 times 1.06 is 4,240. And then we got that number, 4,240 times 1.06. And you would get $4,494.40. So that would be how much you would earn. Well, that would be how much you would have left in your account. Like you've gained $494 in option one. Not too shabby. But option two, that one's a little bit more weird. Okay, so option two, this one, you got 5% on the first year. So let's do that first. Year one, $4,000 times 1.05 ends up being $4,200. So that's how much you have after year one. All right? And then year two happens. With year two, you got a few different things that are going to happen. You got a 10% chance of you losing 15%. So I'm going to first figure out what's going to happen if you lost 15%. All right? So let's take this 4,200. And if we've lost 15%, it's not going to be adding that 5% in like we did here. It's going to actually be subtracting 15%. So if you do 1 minus 15%, that ends up being 0.85. So if we do that times 0.85, you end up actually ending up with 3,570. So that's bad. That's pretty bad. All right, that would be after year two. Now that does only have a 15% chance of happening. 10% chance of happening, excuse me. So that's not, it's not going to be good, but you know, well, let's keep going. But we also could have, a 40% chance of earning 6%. So we would do 1.06 there. 4,200 times 1.06. And that would be equal to 4,452. For year two, final average there. And then we have the last one. This is the one we're really hoping, not the last one, close to the last one. We got a 20% chance of getting 18%. So if we do 4,200 times 1.18, you end up with a whopping $4,956. That's a lot of money. And then we have a 30% chance of it earning no money. Well, I don't need to do what the math is there. 4,200, if I earn no money, I'm going to have 4,200 left over. Done. Now to deal with the percentages. How do we deal with this 40% and the 10% chance and all that stuff? Well, that's actually quite simple. If you have a 10% chance of losing the 15%, you just multiply this by 0.10. And we would multiply the other one by the 40% chance, so that would be 0.4. 0 if you want the 0 to make it look like 40%. And then a 20% chance, so that would be 0.20. And then the 30% chance would be 0.30. You're going to get all of these numbers, and we're going to add them all together. So let's do that real quick. All right, so times 0.20. I'm going out of order. Now, when you get these numbers, you're going to be quite alarmed. That's okay because we're about to add them together. 3,570 times 0.1 is 357. That number by itself means nothing. 4,452 times 0.4 is 1,780.8. And 4,200 times 0.3 ends up being 1,260. We have to add all of those together. When we add them, we effectively find the average or what the expected value would be. So we got that plus 991.2 plus 1780.8 and plus 357 And if I do that, I end up with $4,389. So in the long run, it looks like in this case, comparing the two options, option one wins. The safer option wins in this case. So that's kind of cool. Sometimes the riskier option wins, sometimes it doesn't. Until next time, everybody, stay positive, and I will see y'all later. Bye.